Good morning, everybody. John Sfiocchi here for GAI Insights, bringing you the Gen AI news briefing, rating your top news essential, important, or optional, putting thoughts in your head and time in your day. We have Tim Andrews, our fantastic, technically depth, technically deep friend and part-timer at Manat, a very important law firm. We have Ankaj Handa and Luda Kopakina. All righty. Akash, we go to the first article, please.
Sure, thanks, John. So the first one that we have for today comes from OpenAI, and OpenAI has introduced meeting recording in ChatGPT and connectors for Google Drive, Box, and others.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I just spent this morning just hooking up my Google Drive and Google Mail and so forth to this to start using it because we have we use ChatGPT Teams here. I mean, what do you think about this, Tim?
I think it's mostly catch up, but good catch up. And I think, OpenAI is so broadly used that pretty much anything they do like this has to be declared important just because there's so many users, just to make them aware of it and say, hey, if you're using Teams, or you're using any version of ChatGPT, pay attention. Just got a whole bunch of new features. But in terms of what it is, it's pretty much just catching up to what everybody else already got.
Yeah, no, for sure. But you're putting this as important. It's catch up to Google in particular, right?
Yeah, because there's so much use of OpenAI, so much use of ChatGPT. I think if they add a bunch of a fairly significant new business features in particular,
Yeah,
I think it's important.
yeah. I was leaning more toward essential. What do you think, Luda?
Well, I was between important and essential. The reason we might want essential on this one is because this is an absolute signal for OpenAI saying, I want to be in enterprise and I want to be really deeply in enterprise. By these connections, what they're announcing is a platform that others have gotten, right? But by them signaling this is an important, essential move, really.
Yeah, yeah. Akash, what do you think?
I think important for me, John, there are other sort of vendors, so like Glean, Vectora, and others who are also operating in this space, particularly this use case of connecting with internal documents or internal databases of organizations. And
Yeah.
as I mentioned, this is a catch-up. It's OpenAI, ChatGPT, so it's important, but maybe not essential for me.
Interesting. Oh, and I forgot to mention you can follow along with our articles, gainsights.com/articles. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Yeah, I was going to go essential here. For me, it's the, hey, Paul, for me, I think of it as the walking down the hall um, test. If the AI leader is walking down the hall and somebody says, hey, what about that new, thing from ChatGPT? Would that AI leader be embarrassed not to know? And I think in this case, if you're the AI leader, you got to know that. So I think I'm going to go ahead and mark it essential.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, just because it's
It's not unreasonable at that level. It's a product announcement and a Me Too product announcement, but it is by the most important vendor. So so it's a reasonable argument.
Yep.
All right, Paul, you okay with essential?
Yes.
All righty, essential it is. Ankash, we're starting off strong here.
Yes, John. Moving on to Mistral now. So Mistral has introduced Mistral Code.
Yeah, Luda, you've done a lot of coding here. What do you think?
Yeah, I actually rated it as optional because it's a catch up from Mistral, but they are putting together a pretty comprehensive coding platform. They're pulling the pieces that they've announced last week, DevStral and CodeStral embed into a package that allows people developing good applications on prem and in a very secure environment. But it is a catch up, so optional for me.
All right, we're going to vote for optional here. Tim, what do you think?
Yeah, I was between optional and important. I think this is again for European customers probably more important. Also, this is a move towards a Red Hat style model for those who remember the original Red Hat model when people said
Sure.
you can never make money on open source. So this is the first time, we've talked for a long time about how Mistral does a lot of interesting things, but doesn't ever seem to figure out how to like market it and make money at it. And I think they'll probably make some money at this because it is, either you're paying for GitHub from Microsoft, which is pretty expensive, or you got to do something that gives you more reliability than just I'm going to install all this stuff myself. If you're doing your own programming, fine. But if you're an enterprise, you don't want to be messing around with people doing self installs and stuff. So I think it could be interesting. And I think European people always pay more attention to this stuff.
So we're going important.
I would.
Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, and I'm on the optional side. It's a catch up. No customers. I do agree with Tim. It's important for the European customers.
Well, I wouldn't say no customers, Paul. They actually cite at the bottom of the article who are they on this platform. So no, I think they have customers, but it's not major.
But I think if they get less than 1% market share on code editing tools,
That's right. That's why I was optional as well.
All right, Ankash, you hold the key. You're the fifth vote.
pressure.
John, I'm with Paul. I'm with Paul here. So
Great.
optional, no customers as Paul mentioned. So yeah,
All right.
very limited traction. Yeah.
Okay, our Francophile friends will be upset, but here we go. We're going optional on Mistral next.
Okay, the next one comes from VentureBeat, and it talks about Intuit's GenOS update.
Yeah, very interesting here. They're, as a not so much as a vendor, right, but as a corporation creating their own OS. Goldman Sachs, I think, has done a similar thing. I don't know about Morgan Stanley in terms of they have the GS AI platform. What do you think here, Ankash?
Yeah. So, John, I think they have done three really important things really well here. So, one is the agent starter kit. So, giving that to developers who can then build on top of it. So, they have very quickly developed a lot of agentic use cases. Second is the prompt optimization bit. I think we have been discussing this in different set of articles for past 2, 3 weeks now, where optimizing prompts for different LLMs is becoming very important. So they are solving for that as well. And then the third bit they are solving is for data ingestion. So they have moved away from RAG and have created something they are calling an intelligent layer, which can help digest data from any external third party source. So this layer helps them map the external data to the internal requirement that they have, and they are saying that it does it really efficiently. So I think really important problems that they are solving with this new update to GenOS. So essential for me.
Essential. All right, we got an essential here. What do you
I'm
think?
gonna take the opposite side of that. I have to tell you, Ankash, because there's just no depth here at all, and I, it sounds great. They're 100% buzzword compliant, but they cite nothing that they've actually accomplished. So, for instance, they say, "Oh, well, we can now optimize prompts across models." Okay, what are your results? How did that work out for you? Why are genetic algorithms better than any other mechanism for optimizing prompts across? And how did you evaluate them to compare to make sure you actually did get better prompts across them and they were really substitutable? Because I don't believe any of it, honestly. So I'm totally skeptical on pretty much everything they said here. Really great puff piece, but there's just zero evidence that they did anything interesting.
All right, Luda, where are you landing on this one?
I agree with Tim that in terms of substance and showing how they did it, um, there's nothing, and also no results. So, but intentionally, this is a very interesting piece to Ankash's point. So I was actually vacillating between optional and important, because the identification of those three areas
Yeah.
is important. And
Mhm.
so for that,
Agreed.
we might want to just
Yeah.
important for that specific reason, especially staying kind of oblivious to the which model you are calling in real time. So
Yes.
real-time prompt optimization to pick the model. We know that there are switches out there, right, that can do that. But seems like very much deeper, and yeah, so it's interesting.
Interesting. But again, if I'm an AI leader, what am I going to do with this? If I don't know already, I need to stay agnostic to models. I'm way behind. So yes, I agree. These are important issues. And in fact, we had some earlier articles that were much better on what Intuit has done. And I think they've done some good things, and this could be great. This article just doesn't convey it.
All right,
No,
Paul, where are you on this?
Yeah, I'm where Tim is. I'm a little bit on the Carl Sagan side. You know, extraordinary claims need extraordinary evidence, so optional.
All right. I was actually leaning toward important, because of the way it lays out what the issues are. I hear what you say, Tim, about the AI leader should know this, but actually, when we look at our client base, I would say the sophisticated AI leaders know this, but there's a bunch of AI leaders that are just getting into it, and so this description of what the key issues are, the value of having dynamic model choice. I don't know. I think and Intuit, and I agree with you. I hated the fact there's no data underneath it. So
and also, John, like, just to lean you more to optional. See, when they discuss this meta layer of data, it sounds like they're going back to machine learning type of algorithmic assessment of data, and not Gen AI. But it wasn't clear, so the signal is there. But to Tim's point, they didn't really discuss it. So as a result, kind of is there hanging, not knowing. So maybe more optional.
all right, sorry, Ankaj, we're headed for optional. You've been overwhelmed by the mob. Okay, optional it is. Next.
Yes. So the next one comes from Meta and Shopify, and talks about ensuring accurate product attributes at the source.
Yeah, I think the meta folks should go study some of the Amazon case studies. What do you think here, Luda?
Well, yes, agree. But so I was again between optional and important, ended up on important. Here's why. So as a use or as a case study, this is one of the first ones we see from Meta. But it's showcasing the open source nature and the cost effectiveness of that solution at scale. So I feel that there are a lot of, and I know there are a lot of folks out there that believe that this is the path because of the cost efficiency of that solution using the open source. And that's the signal here. Shopify did it on Lava 2, so predecessor of 3.1, right? So I think it's worth signaling that not only did they do it, uh, and they do discuss the architecture and they do discuss the accuracy results. So it's slim, but it is in there. So I felt that it was important to signal that you can build it at scale on open source and in a very cost-effective manner.
All right, so Vivek is weighing in saying at scale here, so we're looking at important. What do you think here, Ankaj?
Uh, John, I was between optional and important with this one. So not a great AWS level case study, but then also good sort of data points and good explanation.
All right, so we're looking at important. What do you think, Paul?
Optional. Yeah.
Optional for you, Tim?
I was between optional and important. It isn't structured that well, and there's no real results other than, hey, everybody's going to be happier. But to Luda's point, actually, it's good in that they laid out how they did it, and there was a lot of attention to cost effectiveness and using smaller models and quantization. It's all good stuff. It's a little in the weeds, but it was reasonable. I wish they had, and Shopify, by the way, is a pretty significant organization for this kind of
Right.
stuff. So
9
the
billion.
scale stuff is pretty good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, I'm going to go for important on this one. Important it is. Ankash, next.
Okay, the next one comes from Luma AI, and they are introducing modify video.
Yeah, I was on this one. This is just amazing. I just went ahead and joined this. I'm going to start playing with it and so forth. It's just, I mean, you look at the ability to just take any set of, I think it was like the old green screen stuff, right? Where somebody does some action and then they overlay the character or the whatever. And now you can do it with just about anything. And I did some generation with it. It's impressive. So I was given the fact that I think video is going to be a huge differentiator in terms of how people do everything: product description, education, onboarding. I mean, a lot of the videos, a lot of corporate videos, and a lot of the informational videos that are out there from companies are really retrograde, and this is really going to make it easier to do engaging, incredible content. And we know that short form video is one of the fastest growing areas of consumption. So TikTok, YouTube shorts, and so forth. So I was going to give this, I'm on the fence really between important and essential, but at least important. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's the best of times and the worst of times. It is a remarkable everyday miracle kind of thing, and the they sort of it's a set of demos. I've done just enough work in motion capture and streaming. These people know what they're doing, so there's a lot of professionalism here that isn't going to translate to somebody standing around in their living room figuring out what to do. On the other hand, motion capture, which is what you were talking about, where they stick like little dots all over you and have you run around, is incredibly expensive and difficult. So if they really have an impact on that, just in the entertainment industry and film industry, it's going to be a game changer. And eventually will trickle down. I suspect they'll figure out how to get people started who don't know what they're doing. But these people clearly know what they're doing. So there's a little bit of sleight of hand here to that extent. But it's a remarkable the control that they have. Again, this is it is a real game changer in terms of the level of control they have and the ability to put these skins completely on top of other characters without modifying other stuff, because that's been a bugaboo for both image generation and video generation. So it's a big step forward. So I could certainly see important, at least. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yesterday I wasn't on the news because I'm on the board of a promotional products company, and I just sent it to the CEO and their chief marketing officer. It's like, your ability to, to merchandise your product, through the website, and they sell through distributors who do promotional solutions for customers. I see this as a real, game changer for how because they not only can use it to illustrate product, but another thing is that they often come up with a solution, would be a bundle of promotional products. So
Yep.
let's,
Yep. I just think two things. One, you're going to need some professional help, I think, still with this stuff. This is not just like wander around in your living room and it's going to be great. But with a little professional help, you can do some remarkable things. And the other is, as having a discussion yesterday, we're screwed because it's not going to be long before we already have trouble at many levels distinguishing fact from fiction, and pretty soon we just will have no idea.
Oh yeah, the Enlightenment epistemology is gone. Anyway, that's not the whole thing. Not for now. Luna, what do you think? Essential.
I was essential. The reason we've been creeping up in the video production and maintaining context and adding stuff. This is a leap from in my book. So think about the avatars and ability to create and sync and everything. These guys have done it, and then you can build the background as you want. Like think about product announcements and like it is a major leap forward. So essential for me.
All right, Paul, where are you?
Yeah, I'm with Luda. I think one of the roles of the AI leader is to help the organization understand how fast the boundary conditions keep moving, and this is a fantastic way to viscerally understand that. And I think it also starts continuing the conversation we've had. I think it started last year. Is when will we start seeing the courts no longer take video evidence as evidence in court, because it's becoming breathtaking, even with all the metadata around it. So essential. And I'm with Tim as well. The ability to capture motion like that without the green dots is breathtaking. So
Yeah,
essential.
it is.
Guys, we're
It
headed
is
for
a product announcement. I'll just say
It
we
is.
have
It
Yeah,
is
yeah,
true.
yeah,
we
yeah,
have no experience in reality as to how this is going to work out. So I'm always
yeah,
a little
yeah, yeah.
skeptical, but
Fair point, Tim.
guys, we're headed for essential.
Essential it is, John.
Okay. One of the things I think is interesting, I saw a presentation the other day where the presenter made a very important point, which is that human beings are not accustomed to exponential growth and change. And a lot of people have made that point, and I think it's a valid one. And what he did was he explained exponential by showing the improvement in video over the past 2 years, which gave a real visceral feel for what exponential change could mean.
Yeah.
Anyways, I thought it was very clever. Anyway, I'm going to totally copy that when I do presentations to try and explain how quickly this domain is moving. Essentially, it is Ankash next and last, I believe.
Yes, John. So the last one that we have comes from the field of biology and talks about bioreason, incentivizing multimodal biological reasoning with a DNA LLM model.
Yeah, I think these guys built this on the back of the Quinn model. We're talking to a small model specialty company the other day, and they're just talking about how spectacular the Quinn model is. A lot of people don't want to use it because it's a Chinese model, but impressive results here. What do you think, Tim?
yeah, incredibly impressive. Again, it's sort of hard to tell how impressive because they only gave a couple of examples, but this is just unbelievable. It's breathtaking, as Paul likes to say, at several levels. First of all, as you said, they use very small models here. So this wasn't, a big, expensive, throw everything but the kitchen sink at it. And they got incredible results. And its semantics are way beyond anything I've ever seen in this space before. So they're able to capture DNA sequencing, which is remarkable, has been now sort of standard stuff. There's a bunch of models that will do what does the protein look like when it folds up if you give it the DNA sequence. But the ability to say, well, if I give you a pathway and an allele, which is a mutation in a gene, tell me what happens. That is huge. That is an enormous step forward. And if it really does scale, beyond the couple of simple of examples they gave, which are good examples, this is a game changer for the life sciences research.
So where'd you come down?
Oh, well, for life sciences research, it's essential. For everybody else, I would say probably optional because it's just maybe you could make the important case because they did such a good job using small models. But for the average Joe, this is just not going to be relevant. It's going to be relevant to them indirectly because if we start curing more diseases faster, that's good for everybody. But in terms of day-to-day activity, this is pretty focused on life sciences research.
Yeah, I thought it was an example of using a very specialized data set, super small model, incredibly complex area, and I think that
Yep.
is something important. Anyway, yeah, what do you think here, Paul?
I was with Tim. Essential for life sciences, optional for everyone else. So optional for this crew.
All right, Luda, we're between the
Yeah.
Scylla of optional and the
I
Charybdis of
I
essential.
agree. However, I agree with optional for everybody else and essential for this space, because it doesn't demonstrate much. We know that you can build good vertical solutions on these models, even small ones. We had examples of that. This is breathtaking, but still, it's optional.
Ankaj, where are we?
Optional, John.
I'm sorry, folks. I'm doing away with democracy here. We are going important on this. Okay, I think it's a great illustration. It's a great illustration.
Luda, all is well in the world. When we have a discussion, it doesn't matter. So
We shouldn't give him the
no, but
chalk.
look, no, but I don't think we have lots of examples of using non-textual data, having this kind of insight.
Totally. In manufacturing, in supply chain, we have reviewed a number of cases, John, on this specific type of building. In finance, vertical LLMs.
we've had vertical LLMs, but their core is still a verbal description of what's going on, not DNA sequences and not molecules. Okay, so this
Well,
big
okay,
difference.
I'll give it to you. Okay,
Difference. I
but
mean, it's
it's
like the guy who's the guy at MIT who's building the model from the human data back. He's using all the non-textual medical data like CAT scans and DNA sequencing and all that other stuff to build a model. And 7 billion. I mean, this is a teeny model doing unbelievable things with the
that's true.
with the
Yes.
life.
Agreed.
Give me a break.
Agreed.
This is impressive. Anyway, you kept me back from essential. I was ready for essential. No, okay. So we're going to do that. Akash, we'll get to the top board in a second. Paul, do you want to just describe a little bit of the thing you were speaking at last night?
Absolutely. We had a fabulous event last night at the Boston Museum of Science. It was an event co-sponsored by Museum of Science, Harvard Business School, Alumni Association of Boston, and AI Woodstock. It was a discussion on the Boston AI ecosystem with Jay Ash, who runs nonprofit for the 20 largest companies. Sabrina Mansour, who is the new executive director of the AI Hub in Massachusetts, and Chloe Fang, who's a second-year MBA student at MIT, who had the first MIT Harvard versus HBS hackathon. So great event, 400 people, lots and lots of energy, and another really good example of how locally getting together in person is really important aspect of galvanizing local communities on understanding this incredible change. So thanks for everybody. And notably for this group here, John, I think I told you late last night, 4 people walked up to me, Luda, and said how they enjoy our show. And 2 people said they never miss an essential article. So
There you
Great.
go. Yeah, I
Pat
just
yourself on the back.
well, I just want to say for our audience here that Paul has really been instrumental in making this thing happen, and he's very humble about the whole thing. But he's the spark that started the fire here around the whole Boston AI Week and this whole effort. And so, and I know there's lots of people involved, but it's really Paul, and I'd say second in line is Judah Phillips, but Paul really was the one that is
Yep.
the one that keeps that going.
That's true.
Started and keeps
Props to Paul.
Yes.
Yep. And remember, everybody, we here at GAI Insights, we think the core to acceleration in your organization and in your own career are the 4 C's, right? Content. You have to start consuming new content, news and research. Community, like the little event that Paul was talking about last night. Everything from paid conferences like ours all the way through AI Woodstock. Curation of what's going on out there for tools and capabilities. And last but not least, capability building. We've got to get organizations and individuals to be able to do more, not just know more. Okay, with that, we've got 2 essentials, 2 optionals, and 2 important. Very balanced day today. Have a great AI day, and look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Bye-bye now.
bye, Brent.